Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Sewell, and I'm the president of the Noble Public Schools Foundation and a parent of children that attend Noble Public Schools. Thank you to everyone joining us tonight and those watching online. And on behalf of the Noble Public Schools Foundation Board of Directors, we are honored to join our neighbors from the Noble Public Library in hosting this important event for our community. If you would please stand. Thank you for being here. Tonight's primary election forum is our 10th election forum to host, and we continue. Thank you, as you sit down. Sorry. I was just wanting everybody to acknowledge you. And we continue to remain committed to ensuring every voter in our community has as much information as possible to make informed voting decisions in our local and state elections. The mission of the Noble Public Schools Foundation is to empower educators and enrich student learning by partnering with our community to provide vital educational resources while maintaining the highest standards of financial stewardship and transparency. Our vision is that every student will have ample access to the tools and opportunities they need while in pursuit of their dreams. This past school year, we gave over $37,000 in classroom grants and $23,000 in scholarships to our graduating seniors. Before we kick off tonight's forum, I would like to share some important information on an upcoming vote. On August 25th, our community will vote on a school board bond proposal that has been 5 years in the making and shaped by more than 680 responses from parents, staff, and neighbors like you. Our community is growing at a rapid pace, and our current campuses are bursting at the seams. If passed, this bond will include a new 5th and 6th grade classroom, additions to a new fine arts center, and a district-wide safety upgrades. 87% of the bond is dedicated to academics, and every Noble Public School campus will benefit. The best part is that the bond is designed to keep your property tax rate at or below its current level with no tax increase to you. Please make plans to vote again on August 25th. And now I'm honored to introduce tonight's moderator, the mayor of Noble himself, and he is a District 20 constituent, Phil Freeman.
It's good to be here and looking forward to our discussion tonight. At this time, we're going to start right out with some introductions. Once again, I am the mayor of Noble, have been for 5 years, going on 6, and love our community, and glad to see several of you out here today informing yourself about our candidates, and we want good representation. I think we all agree with that. So at this time, I'm going to ask our candidates to introduce themselves. They'll have 2 minutes to do so, and I'm going to begin with Chris May, who is our Democrat challenger from right here in Noble. He will not be answering questions tonight because he is not in the primary. But when we have the forum in the fall, whoever wins the Republican primary, we will have a forum with Chris and that challenger. So at this time, Chris, if you come and introduce yourself, you have 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out here. While I won't be answering questions today, I will be set up outside the auditorium. So if you want to come ask questions, feel free to come talk to me. I only have 2 minutes to tell you who I am, why I'm here, and what I'm going to do for you. Okay? So these are going to be some bullet points. If you guys want me to expand, please come talk to me. My name's Chris May. I am a proud father, husband, and Oklahoman. My wife's sitting right here. She's the brains behind the operation. I have a son in 5th grade, a son that is a senior in high school, and my daughter graduated high school here. And to be really, really blunt with you, the reason I'm here is because we, as working class Oklahomans, are not being represented. We're just not. You can tell that by looking around you, looking at the prices you pay, looking at your insurance skyrocketing, looking at your education system trending downwards. If we were being represented, those things would not happen. So I'm here to change that. I'm here to actually represent us. I'm here to work and not just talk. And I've actually shown that already. I have made meetings with all of our superintendents. I've talked to 3 of them so far. And the surprising thing I hear is they have no working relationship with our legislation. How are we passing bills and asking our school systems to implement these things without first talking to them, without working with them and saying, we're going to pass this bill. How does this actually get implemented into your school? What does it look like? Okay, apparently that's 2 minutes. I usually don't have a time limit. I talk a lot. I'll get off stage. I just want to bullet point a couple more things. Affordability, insurance. I'm currently working on that with current reps and insurance adjusters to see how we can get that down. But please come talk to me afterwards. I got to get off stage now and let these 2 fight it out so I can see who I'm going against in November. Hopefully you guys come back out in October.
Thank you, Chris. Let's give him a hand. Thank you very much. All right, next will be Representative Jonathan Wilk, Republican incumbent from Goldsby. 2 minutes.
Thank you, Noble Public Schools Foundation. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you guys inviting us out, give us opportunity to address some of your constituents' concerns and hopefully alleviate some of their concerns tonight. My name's Jonathan Wilk. I'm your current state representative. I got elected in 2024. My wife is a school teacher at Washinton Public Schools. My family has been involved in the school system there for 5 generations now. I've got family in Noble, Newcastle, Blanchard, and Washinton. So I've got family in all the districts. So the entire district is very important to me. I've got a rural background, being from Goldsby, Washington area. Run a cow-calf operation with my wife and kids. My 3 boys are grown now. My youngest one is a junior, or will be becoming a junior at OSU. They're in Stillwater. My middle son works for Halliburton. And then my youngest son, or my oldest son, is a lineman at OEC. I've got a daughter-in-law that's a nurse at OU Children's, working in the NICU in labor and delivery for the babies. Since we've been in office, we've done a lot of good things. I want to continue that work. You know, we're working on some insurance reforms. We passed the use and file, or I mean the file and use instead of use and file for insurance rates. So it'll be more mirrored off kind of like what OG&E does through the Corporation Commission. When they want a rate hike, they have to file for it before they can use it. Right now, currently, insurance companies can use it and then file for it 90 days after they've already implemented the increase. So that's one of the things we've done. We've made historic investments in education this last session, both in the private school education and in the public school education. We just gave teachers a $2,000 pay raise. So that was a big deal for you guys. We're going to continue to work towards education. We've passed a Strong Readers Act. I'm out of time now. Thank you.
All right, and now we have Mike Fullerton. He's the Republican challenger from Newcastle.
My name is Mike Fullerton. I'm currently sitting on Newcastle City Council. I have for the last 14 years. 2 years ago, I sat here, and one of the things we talked about was education for the most part. I brought these 2 binders up here tonight. I want you to think about it as we talk. The white one is the mandates that our schools have to follow. The black one is just the sports one. So that's a lot of mandates that most of them, I'm going to guess, is unfunded for the most part. So when we talk about funding our schools, we need to do it right. If we're going to do it, let's do it right. Now, I'm in the roadway industry. I don't know much about education. What I do know is my granddaughter's in there. I have 2 sons. One of them is a diesel mechanic. The other one is a drone pilot that flies aerial photography. Now, the thing that we need to do, though, is get our education straight. First thing. The next thing is we got to get our transportation right as well. Every road has bumps in it. I'm always the philosopher of taking the bump out of the road. I have fought to keep the bumps out of the road in my own town. I have fought to keep our state highways that way as well. It took me 10 years to get 10 years of an 8-year program to get Highway 76 on the books and now started construction. So one of the things, in closing, all I ask is just check us out. That's all I ask.
Thank you. So House District 20 serves the communities of Noble, which is in town west of 48th Street. Also Slaughterville, Lexington, Newcastle, Blanchard, Cole, Goldsby, and Washinton. Both Wilk and Fullerton will be in the June 16th primary. And Mr. May, who you heard from first, will face the winner of this primary election in the November general election, just so you kind of know when all of those are happening. Here's how the question portion of tonight's event will flow. Each of you will have 2 minutes, as we already have done, to introduce yourself. And then following the introductions, here we go. Questions were submitted by the community members during an open submission period. So these questions came from our community members. I will ask you a community question to each of you, and you will have 1 minute to respond accordingly. So you have to go quick. We will alternate who goes first on each question, and you will be notified by our timekeeper right here when you're 30 seconds and then when your time is up. Following the question portion, when we get done at the end, you will have 1 minute for the closing remarks to share with anything else that you haven't felt like you've been able to share throughout. We want to remind you this is a forum, not a debate. And so in order to touch all the topics as possible tonight, rebuttal time will not be included. We're not going to go back and forth. We ask that you answer the questions based on your own ideas and merits, and that we remain professional to one another during our time. It is imperative that we keep this forum focused on the issues and refrain from any personal attacks. I know both of these gentlemen, I don't expect any of that. Any negative comments directed towards your opponent would be met with a warning, and if unable to heed the first warning, we would ask you to leave the stage. I know that's not going to happen. So let's get started, all right? Question number 1, which Fullerton, you will answer first. It says, this year, Oklahoma lawmakers increased the cap on the private school tax credit program, committing $275 million in taxpayer dollars towards private education subsidies, even as many public school districts are facing shortages, rapid operational costs, and other difficulties. Public schools are legally required to serve all students, including students with severe disabilities, behavioral challenges, and IEPs, individual educational plans. Public schools must also comply with audits, accreditation standards, open records laws, and other accountability measures that private schools may not, even though receiving public tuition dollars, have to meet. So the question is, do you believe it is fiscally responsible to expand taxpayer-funded private school subsidies without the same level of accountability and required equal access as public schools? Why or why not? And what changes, if any, would you propose? I know it's a big question.
It
Go
is
ahead.
a big question. It takes a lot longer than a minute. But well, I oppose the $275 million. True, 93% of our school district is made up of public ed. 7% is not. I have 2 boys. One of them went to public ed. The other one was homeschooled. I paid for not only his speech therapy, his education, his vocational training, and everything else in between. I also pay for through my taxes my one son's public ed. So with that said, I will try everything I can, like I said, to thin this. That's what has to be done. Those mandates have to go away. If the mandates are here for the public, then they need to be for the private. And that's the truth. So one or the other, they go away or they stay, but they both have to be equal.
Wilk?
Thank you. Yeah, so I support the parental choice tax credit, and I'm going to tell you why. We increased it by $25 million this last year. Currently, the cost of putting a child through public education is almost $15,000 a year. The maximum they can receive is $7,500. So from a state's benefit, just a fiscal policy standpoint, it is cheaper to do that. From a local school point, I did the numbers before I came here on this topic because I figured it would come up. The median home price in Noble is $225,000 roughly. That means a school is collecting roughly $1,980 for every home. And if the 7% number that Mr. Fullerton stated is accurate, that means Noble Schools is benefiting by over $400,000 in property taxes alone from kids going to private schools without having to educate those kids. Those numbers at 7% would be about 200 plus kids that are not attending Noble Schools, but they are allowed to receive that money for infrastructure.
Thank you very much. Question number 2. This session, the Oklahoma legislature passed a new literacy reform law requiring that third graders who do not meet required reading benchmarks on state assessments be retained to repeat third grade. Had this policy been in place last year, Oklahoma Council of Public Affairs has reported that nearly 75% of third graders would have been forced to repeat third grade. Although most Oklahomans would agree that something significant needs to be done to address our literacy crisis, many educators and parents are concerned this new law will unrealistically increase pressure on already understaffed schools by maybe requiring additional teachers, reading specialists, intervention staff, and classroom space, particularly in districts already struggling with poverty, chronic absenteeism, and limited early childhood access. So the question is, and Wilk, you'll go first, if the state is going to require retention for struggling readers, what specific investment or policy solutions do you support to ensure schools actually have the personnel, resources, and support systems necessary to help those students actually succeed?
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so I support the additional funding for the Strong Readers Act. I think it's important. It's one of the core functions of a public school. We are mandating too many other things on the public schools. The reality is a lot of parents these days aren't being parents and raising their kids, and so they're expecting the public schools to raise their children for them, and we have got to eliminate that out of our public school system. It's not the school's job to raise people's kids and get public schools back to their core function, which is educating children in reading, writing, and arithmetic. So I think if we can go through the process and eliminate some of these burdensome regulations, that should free up the space, the time, and the financial resources to focus back on those core functions of a public school.
Fullerton?
Well, let's talk about the third grade thing. Wasn't this what we went through about 10 years ago or so? And it failed. And now we're back at it again, trying round 2 with it, with a little bit of change. To me, this is one thing that we need to make sure that we're doing something better. I have this philosophy. We get rid of this, and we let our teachers teach. We let them teach right. Yes, Mr. Wilk is right on one thing. The parents need to be parents. That's the first thing first. You know, the schools are there with one teacher and 20 to 25 kids in the class. By the time that each kid asks a question, the hour is gone. So this is something that we need to get straight, is the reading at that level. So please, all we got to do is get our teachers back into the classroom doing right. Let's ask our third grade teachers the best way to get this done. Let's ask our administration the best way to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 3. Even with recent investment in teacher pay and public school funding, Oklahoma still trails neighboring states in teacher compensation and per pupil funding. Our lawmakers often point to teachers' raises as evidence of progress, yet Oklahoma schools continue to face major teacher retention challenges tied not only to pay but also workload, classroom behavior, testing pressures, staffing shortages, and a lack of support personnel. What do you believe lawmakers may still be getting wrong about why teachers are leaving the profession? And would you support automatically adjusting teacher pay and per pupil funding each year based on inflation so schools are not effectively falling behind over time? Why or why not? And Fullerton, you'll begin.
Okay. 11 years ago, I went into the Capitol to take my Boy Scouts there. That was during the teacher walkout. And the one thing I noticed was we had, what was it? They had a 4% cut in the teachers, in the school funding, 4%. And ever since then, I feel like we have just went downhill after that. Instead of putting a 2% or a 3% increase every year for inflation, that's something we need to look at at our schools and doing. and it's just across the board for our teachers. And something more, when our teachers do good, let's make sure that they're treated better. You know, we have teachers that are the emergency certification on our teachers is out the roof. And if we don't get them trained right, then we're still in the same boat, and it's sinking. And we have to get our teachers trained. And the 7-day deal that we added, maybe we should put them, sorry.
Wilk.
Can you repeat just the question at the end there?
Yeah. What do you believe lawmakers may still be getting wrong about why teachers are leaving the profession? And would you support automatically adjusting teacher pay and per pupil funding each year based on inflation so schools are not effectively falling behind over time? Why or why not?
Yeah, thank you for the question. First of all, on the funding, tying it to the inflation, I don't support that for any capacity, and that's being funded by taxpayer dollars. And the reason is because years change, fiscal constraints change year after year, especially in a state like Oklahoma that's tied to oil and gas gross production tax. So I'm not going to support anything tied to inflation as an automatic trigger. I think it needs to be looked at year by year to see what we can actually afford and make sure those funds are there. On the, I'm sorry, can you repeat the
Why do you believe lawmakers may still be, what do you think they might be getting wrong why teachers are leaving the profession?
Yeah, so I think the reason most teachers that I talk to are leaving the profession hasn't been pay. It's been kids not acting appropriately in classrooms, and that comes back to homes and parents not being parents. The other thing I think is they don't feel supported either by the state legislature, the State Department of Education, or in some instances, their local school board. I'm out of time.
All right. Next question. While our public school districts continue to face measurable challenges like literacy rates, chronic absenteeism, special education staffing shortages, Oklahoma education debates have increasingly centered around classroom content, library books, curriculum oversight, and parental rights. In your opinion, what point does political activism and divisive rhetoric around public schools begin distracting from the core academic and staffing challenges that are actually impacting student outcomes in Oklahoma classrooms every day? And Wilk, you'll go first.
Yeah. So I think it's already been a distraction for several years now. I don't think that's any secret to anybody. I think we are making progress to turn the ship the other direction and actually focusing, us going down to 50th in education. I mean, I think that helped, to be honest with you. It helped show everybody that, hey, we're focusing on the wrong thing here. We have got to get back to what we're there for, which is educating these kids. So I think we've hit that low place, if you will, and I think we're on the uphill climb now. I think we're climbing back up as a society. I think that's where we need to go, is supporting them and quit focusing in on these social and culture wars and get back to educating our kids.
Yeah. Fullerton.
I know that we've had a lot of controversy about our books in the library. Our previous House rep had that issue. She went on and on about it. I think it brought light to the date, brought light on the subject. I think, like Mr. Wilk says, we need to get away from the political aspect of that, but also making sure that we do concentrate on what our kids are learning. If we don't concentrate on our kids from the 3rd grade up through, the 8th, we end up having issues with them when they get into high school. And it also stems back to the tardiness or being absent. They just don't want to be there. And a lot of times parents may not know that until their kid's already at that critical stage. So I'll let that be as it is.
All right. Next question. This legislative session, Oklahoma leaders supported efforts to reduce property taxes without clearly identifying how local communities would replace that lost revenue. At the same time, we know that many Oklahomans are struggling with rising insurance costs, housing prices, and other cost of living, which makes home ownership increasingly difficult for working families. Currently, Oklahoma property taxes remains one of the primary funding sources for schools, roads, fire departments, law enforcement, libraries, and ambulance service. So the question is, if property tax revenues are slowed or eliminated, what specific local government services do you believe should receive less funding, or what funding source should replace the lost revenue, and what evidence leads you to believe that funding approach will leave communities better off? And Fullerton, you will start.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that? What, the services of what should be cut?
Okay, so it says, if property tax revenues are slowed or eliminated, what specific local government services do you believe should either receive less funding, or what funding source should we use to replace the lost revenue of property tax? And what evidence leads you to believe that funding approach will leave communities better off?
I'm not for sure we can alleviate property tax right now. I haven't seen a clear plan from the leadership from our state. As dealing with the city, we run on sales tax. We have nothing dealing with the property tax, nor do we dip into it. Our emergency management place, ambulance service, does have a part of the property tax, and our libraries. Now, as a school, as a city, we fund part of our library by furnishing the building, as well as partly funding for it. As in teachers, as in the property tax, I would prefer to see it drop to about a 2% for anybody, instead of increasing each year. Instead of increasing to 3% each year and 5% for a deal, I'd like to see about a 2% and a 3% for public property or for private property.
Wilk.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So currently, the legislature has put out a state question for you guys, and you'll get an opportunity to vote on that. We as a legislature do not get to do that. That is up to you guys as the people per our Constitution. So we set a question in place for you guys to vote on that will allow you the opportunity to make that decision for yourselves as a local community when you go cast your vote and say, yes, we agree with slowing the growth. And what it is currently you get 3% increase every year is a maximum. That doesn't mean it's going to happen every year. That allows it. It's a cap to increase every year on your homestead exempted property and your ag property. It's 5% on all other property. What we're proposing is to let you guys decide on whether or not you want to lower that to a 1.75 and a 4 respectively. That'll be the lowest in the nation as far as a cap. So you're not cutting funding, you're just slowing how fast they can increase it year over year.
Thank you. Next question. The proposed turnpike expansion through Norman, Noble, and Newcastle areas has deeply divided many communities in this region. Supporters argue the project is necessary to address long-term growth, congestion, infrastructure needs, while opponents raise serious concerns about eminent domain, transparency, private property rights, the impact on families to lose their home farmland. At the same time, many Oklahoma leaders strongly advocate for limited government and protection of private property rights, and yet the OTA maintains broad eminent domain powers for projects deemed to serve a public purpose. So where do you draw the line between public necessity and government overreach in using eminent domain for major infrastructure projects? And Wilk, you'll answer first.
Thank you for the question. So this last session, or really the last two sessions, I've been involved in a lot of these bills. This last session, I was involved with one with Senator Standridge to try to rein in some of that and address that necessity issue. I know Representative Sterling has been working on that as a Vice Chairman of Transportation. I've been involved in all of those bills. I do think that we've got to put some guardrails up. The problem is there's 101 of us, and there's 48 in the Senate, and you have a governor. So how do you get everything put into one bill and get it addressed? It's difficult. I've worked with a lot of my constituents out of Noble on this issue. There is a public safety concern, and they even recognize that in terms of traffic congestion. I think most people are just concerned that this is not the right path, and there has to be some guardrails on OTA and the eminent domain and when they use it and the necessity in it. And then again, if they do use it, what that compensation looks like for those people that are being displaced to no fault of their own.
Fullerton.
Sitting on city council, I have never used eminent domain, first off. Never had to. We've always come to some agreement. Now, with the turnpike going through, there will be, and there has been already some eminent domain used to do it. I have a solution. If the person's been in their property for 30, 40, 50 years, and their taxes are actually lower than what they could be for a new home, let's go back to when they buy their new home and not stuck them with a high tax of that new property, first off. And let's keep their lives a little better. They've been tormented enough of having to move.
Thank you. In 2020, Oklahoma voters approved a Medicaid expansion through State Question 802, placing it in the state constitution. This year, lawmakers proposed measures that could allow future legislative changes to the program if federal funding levels shift. Supporters of Medicaid expansion argue it improves health care access, reduces uncompensated care costs, and helps stabilize hospitals, while critics raise concerns about the long-term fiscal sustainability and future taxpayer obligation if federal matching rates decline. So the question is, if fiscal conditions change, how much authority should lawmakers have to alter Oklahoma's voter-approved Medicaid expansion? And what specific fiscal benchmarks would justify overriding the will of the voters? And Fullerton, you'll go first.
Okay. We voted on this, what was that? I forget how many years ago for that. And I voted no, that we should not do the medical aid and the medical expansion. I knew it was bad. I knew it was going to come back and bite Oklahoma again later on down the road. I'm going to take one of the bills that we just had this year, Senate Bill 2060, when it got passed. 2 years ago, we voted that down, and now it came back. So saying that the legislatures aren't going to come back and change something is wrong. It has. And when the will of the people have already voted it down once, why are we doing it again? Why are our legislatures jumping the ship and going off keel on that?
Wilk.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, this is a very important topic for a lot of future generations of Oklahomans. So currently, the federal government's matching a 90-10. It is in our state constitution, which requires us, if we make any changes to that, we have to fund it. And if the feds make any changes on their end to get to what they want right now, according to our federal delegation of a 60-40 match, in other words, Oklahoma will have to pick up 40% of that. What that's going to do is if we leave that in Constitution, we'll have to send that to a vote every time they stair-step that change. And so we wanted that in statute to where we could make those adjustments as needed. Because if they go to a 60-40, based on current numbers, things in this state have got to be cut because we have that embedded in our Constitution, and we have no control over that pricing. So we will have enough money to cover Medicaid expansion and public education. That's it, folks. So we have to do something. And so the state question, there was two of them. I'm sorry. We can visit afterwards if you want to talk about it.
Thank you. Question 8. Community involvement and accessibility are important expectations for Noble residents. During a time when political division and distrust remain high across all state and nation, many of our residents want elected officials who are visible, approachable, willing to listen, and able to work constructively with people of differing viewpoints. If elected, what specific steps would you take to maintain a consistent presence in Noble and build strong relationships across the entire community, including business owners, educators, local organizations, and constituents of differing political perspectives? And Wilk, you'll answer first. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Yeah, so I've been engaged with some of the Noble Public Schools board members even. I've talked to them several times. I've talked to Mr. Solomon regularly during session when school's in. We have monthly meetings not at the Career Tech, but through Zoom that sometimes he doesn't participate in, sometimes I don't, but nonetheless, we're meeting monthly or have the opportunity to meet monthly through Zoom. I'm also participating in a lot of the Noble Chamber of Commerce events. I'm in communication with the mayor, your police chief, and your fire chief. So I do actively stay engaged in Noble. I will continue to stay engaged with Noble, Slaughterville, and Lexington, which are all Cleveland County and the city of Norman. I think it's important, and we have to work extra hard because obviously I live in a separate county, so I have to make a good, faithful, diligent effort to be in Cleveland County, to stay engaged so I can represent you guys. And at the same time, I need you guys to stay engaged with me so I can continue to represent you as well.
Mr. Fullerton.
One of the things I can say that I've been involved in our city is being present at everything and anything that has come about. My presence has been known to be there, always helping and doing whatever I need to in the community, engaging with I have several of my school board members, their phone numbers. I talk to them typically about every other week or so. I speak with our school superintendent when needed be. And one of the things I will always promise to be, even in Cleveland County, I will be there. You will not have to come see me at the Capitol. I will be present, and you will see me.
Thank you. Oklahoma has one of the highest incarceration rates in the United States, while consistently ranking near the bottom nationally in our education outcomes. Recent concerns surround conditions, staffing shortages, violence, and transparency, even at the Central Oklahoma Juvenile Center in Tecumseh, have intensified broader questions about how the state approaches struggling youth. At what point should Oklahoma stop treating poor educational outcomes and high incarceration rates as separate problems? And what should lawmakers be investing in for children before the states end up paying to incarcerate them? And this will be Wilk first. No, I'm sorry, Fullerton.
Education is the key to keeping our kids out of jail or out of incarceration. A child that is active in the community does not get in trouble as much. I've been a Boy Scout leader for 22 years. And one of the things that I know is these kids, when they're active and they're staying out of trouble, they do well. I have had, in our scout troop, I had almost every boy make an Eagle Scout when I was involved with it. And making sure that our kids get the best education and can be able to advance forward into society will keep them out of jail as long as they can find a good job. And that is our responsibility as legislators to make sure they have that chance for that job.
Thank you. Mr. Wilk.
Thank you for the question. So I probably got a little bit different perspective on this stuff. Being prior law enforcement, what I see is all this stuff goes back to homes. You know, we look to the schools to provide a quality education, and when we use that as a reason to reduce our incarceration rates, I think the reason the scores are low at school is because of our incarceration rates. I think our incarceration rates are the way they are because of our homes, whether it's gambling addictions, whether it's drug problems, whether it's alcohol problems. You know, it's got significantly worse. We're sitting here at number one, depending on how you look at it, what survey you look at, in domestic violence. Number one, incarceration. Number one, in divorce rates. Guys, our problems are at our homes, and our schools are not the solution for everything. They're just not. We have to fix the homes. And then I think you'll see the grades improve. I think you'll see incarceration rates go down. You'll see drug use go down. Thank you.
My next question is just simply a yes or no question, and I'll ask Mr. Fullerton first. If you are the winner of the June 16th Republican primary, would you agree to return in the fall to participate in our final election forum with Mr. May?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And Mr. Wilkes, same question.
Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. You will now have 1 minute for closing statements. Before we do that, if you would allow me a little discretion, we've hit you pretty hard. I want to give you a fun question, okay? And the governor, this is from me, the governor just signed into law the Rockets Red Glare Act, which allows or permits Oklahomans to discharge permissible fireworks on private property. And I know there's some restrictions, but this seems a little alarming to me, and wanted to know how you felt the effect of allowing anybody who has private property to shoot fireworks at any time. Now, I know there's some restrictions, but I'm going to make it a little more dramatic. It's just a fun question. Go ahead, Mr. Wilk.
Yeah, so my background is public safety in the fire service, fire marshal's office specifically, and our job, one of our main functions of our job was this fireworks restrictions and control burns and things of that nature within the city of Norman. And so I was really concerned about this bill. I talked to the author about it, and I talked to the state fire marshal's office about it. And I said, guys, come up with something that is reasonable where we can still allow people to do what they want to do on their private property without a big public safety concern, because right now I'm going to have to be a no on this vote. Yeah. And so they made some concessions. Those two went in a room and worked it out, and the state fire marshal's office came out with something that they were happy with, who also happens to be my former chief at Norman. So with that being said, because he had the support of the state fire marshal's office, I voted yes for that bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fullerton.
While believing in letting people be their own private citizens and doing what they want to do, we also are restricted by certain restrictions of safety, burn bans, and so on.
Yeah.
As well as if there's not enough water in your community to be able to put out those fires. And that is something that we all have to think about when this comes. I have veterans that talk about this, they go back and their PTSD kicks in. When we had the wells come in, I had veterans that call me at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock and say, hey, you got to stop this. And I can see this being an issue with some of our veterans. But I also believe that the American citizen has the right to shoot some fireworks occasionally. I mean, it does, but they have to do it safely.
We'll be happy to know it does not restrict the municipality's power to govern inside, and so your city council, my city council, can still override and give restrictions to that. Also, it does not override burn bans and other things, and so there are some measures in there. I was probably being a little dramatic. I just wanted to hear what you thought. You have 1 minute to do closing statements. Mr. Fullerton, you will go first. 1 minute.
Where did I start? Like I said, 2 years ago, I sat right here talking about pretty much the same subject. It's time that we correct those subjects. It's time that we move forward and do the best for our children, our communities. And this is the thing that by not being in the community, you do not know what's going on. And I will always be present in the community. That's just the one thing. If I'm not here, give me a call. If you haven't, I like people to be able to think when they come to the Capitol that they can come and sit down beside me and say, hey, I've got this personal issue, because they may feel uncomfortable about it. And I want people to feel comfortable with sitting and talking with me, because that's what I can do best, is sit and talk with people and listen. That's the main thing, just listening to what the people have to say. I got ran out of time.
Mr. Wilk.
Thank you guys for the opportunity to come speak with you tonight. I look forward to some more conversations after this where we can kind of dive into some of those issues that might be important to you. One of the main things I want you guys to understand is it's hard for me to represent you if we don't communicate. And so if there's an issue pressing on you or weighing on your heart, reach out to me. Tell me what that is. Tell me how you feel. I do want to tell you something. As we talk about education in Oklahoma, I think we're in a unique position in House District 20. The scorecards that I've been provided for our schools as soon as I took office by people anti-pub ed and pro-pub ed, both of them reflected that House District 20 schools are far above a lot of the schools in the state. And I'm not just telling you that because we're sitting here today. I mean, that's the truth. So when these things are being done, understand that there's other school districts that are having issues with this, or other parents, and so we have to address those. And unfortunately, we get looped in with those sometimes, but it's not always against what is happening in House District 20. We've got some really good schools here.
Thank you. I want to thank all of our candidates for House District 20, Mr. Fullerton, Mr. Wilkes, Mr. Wilk, Mr. May. Thank you so much for your willingness to serve our communities and our state. It's admirable. We appreciate your leadership from one candidate or one mayor to the political candidates. Let me just say this. as long as you keep at the forefront of everything you do that it's about serving people. And that even though sometimes the decisions you will make will be more uncomfortable for you, but they'll be better for the people you serve, you'll get to the right decisions in the right spot. So thank you for that. Thank you to all of our citizens for attending tonight. Participation in informed voting is important and to our civic responsibility. Tonight's forum was recorded and will be available online in just a few days. And so please watch the Noble Public School Facebook page for that shareable link to be posted by Wednesday. And make plans now to go vote in the regular polling place location on Tuesday, June 16th from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Or if you need to do early voting, from 8 to 6 on Thursday, June 11th, Friday, June 12th, and from 8 to 2 on Saturday on June 13th. You can do that at the following locations for this House District 20: Noble Library, the Sooner Mall, Cleveland County Fairgrounds, or Blanchard's Historical City Hall. House District 20 candidates will be available in the foyer to visit one-on-one and share campaign materials. We'll begin our next forum for House District 27 at approximately 6:30. Thank you so much, and we appreciate you.